Carlin in for Alan Hahn, along with Bart Scott. Has all the management stuff turned the dream of building your own law practice into a nightmare? Well, take charge with Lexicon Practice Management Software and Services. Visit lexiconservices.com/intersection. KP, Kristaps Porzingis, and Luka Doncic, from all accounts, don't seem to get along very much at all. There was the incident where Porzingis stepped out during the Clippers series and went to the nightclub, as it were, and that did not go over too well when he got having to deal with the COVID protocol stuff, where he violated the COVID protocol. That didn't go over too well with Luka Doncic, and now you hear more and more about how these two have had several dust-ups and don't get along. And here's a quote from Mark Cuban that I think is incredibly telling. Trust me, nobody wants to get Luka more help than I do. This is what he told CBS Sports. But what do we really need is really the question, and we need a second scorer. There's no question about it. I think people were unfairly giving KP a hard time. He is who he is. What that means is he is not that guy. Yeah, and you might be trying to protect him a little bit, but
no, listen,
you're the ones that gave him all that money, and he got $101.5 million left in the contract.
Yeah, Mark Cuban is one of the best businessmen, but also one of the best communicators. You know, you see him on Shark Tank. He's sharp. He knows what he's talking about. So this little subtle jab is kind of letting everybody know what he really truly believes about Porzingis. Also talking about a couple of dust-ups, right? And, you know, we know what comes with baggage. We talked about yesterday, we kind of laughed a little bit about LeBron, his posse, when Phil Jackson said something about it. But we know what comes with Luka, what comes with Porzingis is his brother.
Yeah.
And his brother ruined the relationships here inside of New York.
Yep.
And his brothers got his ear. And his brother's telling him, man, you ain't got to play second fiddle to this dude. You just as talented he is. And it is crazy, right? When, I went and I played next to Ray Lewis, right? I'm thinking, I'm the truth. I'm the truth in my head, too. I can ball. But at some point, I had to admit to myself that he was better. And that is a tough conversation for anybody that is a star to admit to themselves that, you know what, I am good. I'm a good player. This dude is great. And what makes it even worse is that Porzingis is 25. So he's still at the height of his power saying, hey, man, I'm the damn unicorn. KD called me the unicorn. And now these guys came and stole my luster. And this kid is younger than me, and he's the future. He's 21 years old. He's a kid to me. I'm 25, and he has to accept that I'm Robin. He doesn't want to be anybody's Robin at this point in his career.
I don't think he's Robin. And I think that is an incredible lack of self-awareness, because all you have to do is watch him play to realize that he's better than you. And if you have somebody in your ear telling you that you are better and you don't need him and you shouldn't be playing second fiddle to anybody, that guy is not helping you. The people who do not tell you the truth in your life are the ones that do not help.
Because they gas you up all the way to this point. I remember playing with James Hedibo, and he had all his cousins here from Africa, his brothers, and they had all his jerseys tied in. And they said James Hedibo is the best safety in the NFL.
Problem.
And I said, man, stay off the weed.
On ESPN Radio and ESPN Plus.
And has a shot a game away from getting to the finals. And so, when you give birth to a franchise like I did, the birth of the Suns back in 1968, you are really involved mentally, physically, etc. And you want to see your baby do well. You want to see it grow into maturity and have success. And, for about 40 years, we had quite a run, honestly. We had fourth best record in basketball for those 40 years. And, it was only a handful of years when we didn't make the playoffs. And we knocked on the door on a couple of occasions getting to the finals. And quite honestly, deep in my heart, there were 3 or 4 other occasions when we could have, should have, might have won a championship, and things just didn't line up. The irony for me is I got into baseball, and in our 4th year, we won a World Series. And that really kind of blew me away. Here you work your lifetime trying to get an NBA title, and it was elusive for whatever reasons. And that's why this year, when you look at the teams that are left, who's been eliminated, the injuries that have taken place, COVID, I had 12 players out of our 50-some players who couldn't play because of injuries going forward, or chose not to because their bodies needed to heal. You have to adjust. You have to roll with the punches. You deal with the cards that are dealt you, and you put your best people out there. And everyone wants to win. Sometimes the stars have to be aligned. You have to be a little lucky in terms of matchups. And who would have thunk, the teams that are left would have been left.
Yeah, you're right.
A year ago. So I think this. I think the stars are aligned for just exactly what's happened this year. Injuries have played a significant role. And so COVID, by compressing 2 seasons back to back without any downtime, that was a big factor here with injuries, in my opinion. And so anyway, we go to camp. I'm excited about going to camp, and we have some new blood, some younger players who are really excited about the opportunity. And, to be around young guys who have that attitude is going to be refreshing. And so it's a combination of vets with international experience, young blood, a lot of enthusiasm. It's going to be an interesting time because when we get to, we'll be in Las Vegas for 2 weeks. We'll play 5 friendly games because we have countries coming into Vegas to do their training camps, and then head for Tokyo, where it's not a bubble, but pretty close in that we have no access to restaurants, shopping, or anything like that. We go to our hotels, and there's protocol. We go to practice sessions, and we go to games. So for 2.5 weeks, we're going to be a very small, intimate group of guys who are have a goal and an objective. And, the goal is to get the gold medal and get home.
Join us each morning on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting the Saints are signing offensive tackle Ryan Ramczyk to a 5-year, $96 million extension, $60 million guaranteed. Deal makes him the highest paid right tackle in the NFL. With the Clippers season on the line for the second straight game, they will be without forward Kawhi Leonard in Game 6 of the NBA's West Finals against the Suns because of a sprained knee tonight. 8:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio and ESPN TV. Lightning forward Alex Killorn, lower body injury, out of Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final tonight versus the Canadiens. He's got 17 points in 19 games this postseason. Tampa's up 1-0.
Hey, what's up? It's George Sedano. Max is going to be back hosting the Max Kellerman Show on Wednesday, looking at Game 6 of the Clips and the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. It's the Max Kellerman Show, starting at 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN+.
Okay. Is this the remix, or is this Welcome to Atlanta then with Puffy? Welcome to New York?
I love how it's so cute that you think I know whether or not it's the remix.
Man, come on, you be raising the roof to this. I think it's a remix. Remix!
Is this Jermaine Dupri? Is that who this
Welcome
is?
to Atlanta.
Yeah.
Where we don't play and out of towners get jacked like every day. Woof, woof.
That's my favorite Bart Scott noise right there. I can't even do it justice. That is my favorite Bart Scott noise by far. It is Bart Scott, Chris Carlin on ESPN Radio and ESPN Plus, presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things easier than ever. They're going to help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Let's get right to it. Don't waste any time. It's time for some audio files.
Audio file. The audio file.
We're going to start with Chauncey Billups, who was introduced yesterday as head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, and there's been controversy around the 1997 incident where he was accused of rape when he was 19 years old, and there were never any charges formally filed, but there was a settlement in that case, so he addressed that at length yesterday.
There's not a day that goes by that I don't think about how every decision that we make could have a profound impact on a person's life. I learned at a very young age as a player, and not only a player, but a young man, a young adult, that every decision has consequences, and that's led to some really, really healthy but tough conversations that I've had to have with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time in 1997, and my daughters about what actually happened and about what they may have to read about me in the news and in the media. But this experience has shaped my life in so many different ways. My decision making, obviously, who I allow to be in my life, the friendships and the relationships that I have, and how I go about them. It's impacted every decision that I make. It really has. And it shaped me in some unbelievable ways. So, I know how important it is, really to have the right support system around you, in particular during tough, difficult times.
I mean, listen, this happened in 1997. 24 years ago. He said the sex was consensual, but it's a steady reminder that things don't go away, right? We see this happen, and this is why I try and stress to young children all the time. Like the stuff that you put on Twitter and Instagram, thinking that you're being cute, not understanding that you're immature and you lack the experience to understand the gravity of what you're saying. It can come back. It doesn't go away. And he went through an entire borderline Hall of Fame career, two-time champion, great analyst here at ESPN, and none of those things were brought up until he decided to try and be great and become a head coach and become basically the CEO of an organization, the face of an organization. So this is a lesson to all the children out there that think that, hey, you can do anything and that we think we're bulletproof when we're children. Like those things come back, and he has had to have some tough conversations with his children that wasn't even born at the time about what they may or may not read and have to relive the situation all over again. And it's a lesson to everybody out there. All the people out here that's trolling people, that's saying stuff. You look at what happened to John Legend's wife with the cyberbullying. And listen, receipts are always kept. Yep. So make sure that you live your life and make sure that you don't say things or do things that can come back to haunt you and hurt your brand. Because listen, you can be clean and do things right for 20, 30 years, and that one stand can stop your opportunity or stop your blessings.
One problem, though, with it after the fact is that there are going to be questions. That was in the opening statement part of it, too.
Of course.
And the Blazers didn't exactly let that go. Take a listen.
I guess I'm still curious for a little bit more clarity about the investigation that you guys conducted. Who did you hire to do it? What, who did they talk to? What specifically did they tell you that led you to the conclusion that you got to?
So that's proprietary, Sean. So you're just gonna have to take our word that we hired an experienced firm that ran an investigation that gave us the results we've already discussed.
You said the 1997 incident shaped you in unbelievable ways. Can you maybe elaborate on that and how it helped shape you?
Jason, we appreciate your question. We've addressed this. It's been asked and answered, so happy to move on to the next question here.
We both understand. I'm sure Chauncey understands it's a job to be done. But he did kind of answer that in his opening statement. It molded about who he keeps around him, his circles, and understanding that.
I understand. The problem, though, is when that person steps in and starts. The first part of it, okay. When the PR person steps in front of you, that's making it bigger.
Right.
In theory, you're trying to get past this.
You just got to do it once. And Chauncey
answer a couple
it.
of questions on the one day, and it's a one-day story, and you move past it. That PR person had no idea what she was doing.
Now it's going to continue to live on. Because it's still, Chauncey's a professional. And if anybody's talked to Chauncey, listen, he understands how to he's not a guy that struggles with articulating himself. As you can hear in his opening statement, you can tell that was very thought out, very heartfelt, and you can tell, speaking about all the different degrees of the conversation that you have to have, whether it's his wife, his kids, and also understanding how it molded him and happened to make sure that you be careful with the circle you have around you. Because, I've been in situations where your friends bring you to some bull crap that you had no idea you were getting into, and then it's too late. And at 19, maybe you're about that exciting, stupid life where you're doing things that may come back to haunt you because you're thinking about today and not tomorrow.
Then there's Jerry Colangelo, of course, who's head of USA Basketball, and he gives us some information that I think we all kind of widely assumed anyway, but he pretty much confirmed it.
I would think so. Father Time takes its toll. And you guys know that because if you're a human being, your body is built to go so long, depending on what your sport is. And then it's a downhill situation. And LeBron made choices these last couple of Olympics not to participate because he's got a lot of things going on in his life. And so he put in his time. He made a contribution that is appreciated, but I think his time is over.
Yeah. So when it comes to the Olympics, I don't think anybody was ever expecting to see him again, but you never know, and that was pretty much put to rest at this point.
What the hell is he, Michael Phelps? He's supposed to do 5-10 Olympics? Like, come on, man. Like, he's done his time. Like, and it's time for let some of these young bucks, it's time to introduce Zion to the world. It's time to introduce, the other guys that haven't played. Now, you always have a couple carryovers, guys like Kevin Durant that you can ensure that can teach these guys what being an Olympian and playing and representing your country is all about. But it's time to sprinkle in a little new blood, and LeBron's the first one out. I'm sure KD will be the second one out. As we all are used to this, right? So, like, in sports, what people don't realize is the younger you are, the farther your seat is in the plane. And the older you get, when you look up and you look in front of you and you may be like one or two.
And you see the wall?
Yeah. You on deck, Claude.
Yeah.
You next for what we call the athletic upper room. It's time for you to say goodbye. It's been great. God bless y'all. Good night. Russell.
I don't think Mike Tannenbaum's going to Cleveland anytime soon because
he's going with Rex.
ESPN's ESPN's NFL front office insider was not mincing any words when it came to Baker Mayfield and his place in Cleveland.
Ryan Tannehill is definitely above Baker Mayfield as well. And as Diana alluded to, when you look at Kevin Stefanski's track record, they won in Minnesota with Case Keenum. They won with Kirk Cousins. Baker Mayfield is very much a replaceable part. He's had one productive season out of 3. That is not greatness at the quarterback position. So at best, he is the 5th best quarterback in the AFC. The other point that bears noting is injuries can be hugely consequential for the Cleveland Browns. Odell Beckham, Jadeveon Clowney, they have to play in 17 games for this team to be productive. And in the second round, Cleveland drafted Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from Notre Dame. If he could stay healthy, he could be an impact player. But those 3 players need to play 17 games to give Cleveland a chance to go deep in the playoffs.
But Baker being thoroughly replaceable.
No, he ain't saying no lies. Like, I've been saying this. Listen.
I know, but he's popular out there these days.
You can be popular all you want. You can't lie to yourself. Now, you can put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that he's a bum, but he's not a great player. Like, I mean, I would put Joe Burrow. What I saw from Joe Burrow was more special than anything I've ever saw from Baker Mayfield. You got to understand, like, Baker has 2 of everything. And if it wasn't for that strong running game, like, as he gets paid, and if you pay him $40 million a year and you start taking those pieces around him, I don't know if he can make up the difference. We saw Russell Wilson make up the difference when he lost the Legion of Boom, right? He lost that support. We saw Ben Roethlisberger on his first Super Bowl when he pretty much was just a passer holding the steering wheel as Willie Parker and the bus and that defense took him to a championship. But you saw when they got stripped, he was still good. I don't know if you strip all the support away from Baker Mayfield if he's that same player. I would say that he is not even the 5th. I think Tannenbaum was being kind to him, saying he's the 5th in the AFC. I think Carson Wentz is shown that he's a much more. Okay.
Come on.
Carson Wentz, before he got hurt, was an MVP
and that
candidate.
was 4 years ago.
Okay, 4 years ago, and a good offensive solid line ago. He's going to listen, mark my words. I know bum quarterbacks, and I'm telling you, Carson
Yes, you
Wentz.
do.
Carson Wentz is a good quarterback, and he's going to remind everybody with confidence that he's going to change the scenery with a familiar face in Frank Wright, with a tremendous
His
team in
babysitter.
front of him.
Let's call it what it is, his babysitter.
He's going to show everybody what he was. And then we're going to look up and we're going to say Baker may be more like the 10th best quarterback in the AFC.
I'll tell you this. Baker Mayfield's going to have a massive season this year. I thoroughly believe that.
Yeah, but how much of it is he going to be responsible for?
I think he's going to be responsible for a good amount of it. I think this is the year where Baker Mayfield really shows what he's capable of doing.
Okay. We have Mark Sanchez, right? Mark Sanchez had the best running game in the league, right? And he had arguably the best offensive line. And he didn't have great receivers. He had okay receivers and a good pass-catching tight end. And look what Mark Sanchez was able to accomplish with that. Baker Mayfield has better than what Mark Sanchez had. He has better personnel on defense. He has better personnel on offense. So don't be surprised when you say he's not as good as Mark Sanchez, and you figure that out after you gave him $40 million.
ESPN Radio brought to you by My Computer Career, training for a better life. Up next, the NBA playoffs. They have